Hey everybody, this is Gary Smith with Nectar Bridge. I wanted to tell you about a seminar I'm going to be doing February 26th at the Montgomery Chamber of Commerce in Montgomery, Alabama. You'll be able to find a link to this seminar and a link to sign up at my blog on nectarbridge.com. Also, if you go to Twitter, there will be a pinned tweet about this and a sign up link there at twitter.com/nectarbridge. So you can find out about attending this in person. What I want to talk to you today about is just a little bit of a sneak preview of some of what I'll be talking about in this seminar. The full seminar will be about an hour and a half and talk about tuning up your back office and increasing your efficiency in the inner workings of your business. This little segment is only going to be about 10 minutes or so, and I'm just going to kind of introduce some of the topics that we're going to be talking about. One of my big passions in consulting is the idea that a lot of business owners are a little bit fed up with some of the things that get in the way of their success. Successful businesses start with a great idea, but owners run into roadblocks. Regulations, licensing, accounting, HR, technology, marketing, just a lot of things that seem to keep cropping up. Most people who start a business are productive people. They're relatively well organized. They're relatively high energy people, and they like doing productive things. And for them, usually those kind of things that feel productive are writing proposals, solving problems for customers, making a product, and delivering services. And things that feel less productive are commonly called back office functions. In bigger businesses, particularly like big Fortune 500 companies, you'll often hear people talk about cost centers. And then there's other things that are kind of unmentionable that people call these tasks and functions. To get a little more organized about what kind of functions I'm talking about, and you know what these departments are, I think you've heard of all these kind of things before, but the regulatory and legal environment that you're in and the things you have to do to keep all that straight. Closely related to that is the accounting and finance department and the things that go on there to keep your books in balance and everything going according to whole. There's also HR, or the older term for this is personnel, and some people still call it that, human resources, things you need to do to keep your employee workforce in good condition. Moving on to things that are maybe a little more fun for at least some of us, but still can be frustrating and get in the way of doing what we want to do in our business. There is technology and there is marketing. The interesting thing about those last two is most people who run a business are good at one or the other, but not necessarily both. So that's what we'll be talking about, and I'll let you in on sort of the agenda for what we'll be talking about in that session. I'll begin by talking about how to think about these areas. Throw in a little philosophy and talk about maybe some ways of thinking about some of these areas that maybe make it not seem so bad. And then I'll be going, and this is probably the thing that is where we spend a lot of our time, is we'll be talking about the how and the why, how we handle these functional areas in our business, and maybe a little bit of why. Why are these things important? Why is it important that we do them right? And we'll conclude that seminar by talking about when to bring in the generalist, when to bring in somebody like a partner who's going to spend all their time or most of their time working on the back office of your business, or perhaps hire a COO or vice president of operations, or perhaps hire a fractional COO like me. Give you a little sneak preview of some of the things we'll be talking about, get a little bit into the philosophy, because I think this is part of why you might want to attend this seminar. One of my big philosophies about the back office functions of business, the things we don't necessarily like to do, is this is really a deep way of putting it, but it is what it is. These things don't go away just because we don't like to do them. These things don't go away even if we don't really even agree they have to be done. Many people don't really like paying taxes, or they think they pay too much in taxes, or they think taxes should be simpler to do. But the problem is the government doesn't look at it that way. So it is what it is. You need to take care of all these things, and that kind of rolls right into the next area of philosophy about these things, is that you can really look at these back office functions as just being nothing but a distraction or a drag, or you can view them as part of your mission. And I think that that's a more productive way to look at these things. I think by seeing these things as part of your mission, as being a lot of the secret sauce that makes your business great instead of just a distraction, I think makes some of these things maybe not fun, but a little more interesting. And the last thing I'll mention when it comes to philosophy is you can't delegate consequences. What I mean by that is that you can delegate work. You can delegate work to people whether they're qualified or not. You can also get advice from experts, and a lot of what we'll talk about in this seminar is how and when to get advice from experts. But at the end of the day, you as a business owner are the one who will face the consequences of your actions. And so this makes some of these kind of things a little harder to delegate. And that's a lot of what we'll be talking about when we do this seminar. This is, again, just a real brief introduction to these things, and we'll be taking a deep dive into time management. We'll talk about all of the different areas and some of the things, little tips that will help make them easier to do, some of the resources that you can find, and some of the experts you can bring in to make these things work for you instead of against you. So I hope to see you on February 26th, and we'll look forward to seeing you then.